Welcome to Translation TV. My name is Michelle from thesoultranslator.com, and in today's episode, we are going to talk about empaths and leadership. Now, often, let's get real, often people don't think that empath and leader come into the same sentence comfortably together because there's a lot of assumptions that empaths are passive, that can't handle being in the spotlight or don't want to be in the spotlight, and that we are more followers, that we are the ones that are sponging up and taking everything from everybody else and therefore are incapable of being in more leadership roles. Those are just to name a few. And I'm sure there's many more assumptions that if you're an empath, you're probably listening to this and going like, yeah, but and this and this and this, and I don't feel seen here, and I feel misunderstood there, or I want to be seen more here, and I want to step out more there. And this is really what the empowered empath is, and why I do the work that I do, because the gifts and the abilities and the sensitivities and the sensibilities of an empath are the qualities that help us have the courage, the compassion, the care, and the commitment and the connection to those things that matter. We are sensors and perceivers, and it's a beautiful, yet also sometimes, like any sort of gift, it is also a challenge to be that in the world. So that's where this idea of the empowered empath being leaders, sometimes people think, or even as empaths, we think of this of ourselves, like I can't lead because I can't handle being in a role of responsibility like that, because we're always feeling on a certain level like we are on stage and are responsible for the reactions of the audience, shall we say. Now, I want to just drop this little idea here, and we can talk about it in another Translation Tuesday. So I want to propose actually that it's those very same qualities that allow empaths to truly connect and truly be very powerful leaders. So that's what this episode today is going to be about. I want to introduce this idea of the empath and leader being in the same sentence and in the same room and in the same place of possibility. So there's two things I want to share here about what empath leaders do when they are in a space and leading. And I also want to share three things that are the kind of the shadow side of being an empath leader. So the first thing is about when you are an empath and one who is very sensitive to the feelings and emotions and energies in the room, and you feel those. Remember the difference between empath and empathic. Empathic is validating someone's feelings. Being an empath is that you're actually feeling them, you're sensing them through your own emotions, or in your body you're almost sometimes embodying the emotions of others. Not almost, often that can happen. So the empath leader is one who naturally raises the vibration or raises the mood, and holds space for and raises the experience and the emotional availability of what people are feeling in the room. So this is a huge job for an empath leader that often we are doing it unconsciously. And when we can step into a place where we're doing that consciously and use all the things we need to also protect ourselves in the process so that we're not exhausted after the experience, this is an incredible gift that we give to others. So the second thing is we also give space to all the emotions and all of the potential breakthroughs that can come from those emotions to people in a group. So if you're a group coach facilitator and an empath, if you are a retreat leader and an empath, if you are in a creative business or a CEO and you are also an empath, you probably feel this incredible sense of when people are around you, they feel safe, and they also feel like they can tap into their genius, and they can tap into what is on the other side of whatever emotion you're helping hold space for. And so often empath leaders are these catalysts for personal, spiritual, and professional growth in others. Because we're very aware of so many different emotions and energies, we're usually not in a place where we're judging and saying that one's okay, but that one isn't. All right, so let's talk about 3 things that are kind of tough for the empath leader. The first one is that often you get put into a place where you feel you are serving, because it's so very natural for empaths to be in a kind of default place of service. And you will sometimes feel like people are not knowing when you need some help or when you need a little bit of support. So that can be challenging, because it's almost like we have this impenetrable air to us. Not that we don't want to be helped, but people often think like, she's got it, I don't need to help her. And we end up feeling a little bit like we hold space, and we then also can tend to feel a little unseen, which leads to second point here. That can be a bit of a tough spot for some resentment to build up if you're not emotionally clearing and taking care of yourself, because often the empath will feel unrecognized as a leader, because their, shall we say, influence sometimes is softer and is more, is subtler, and people will feel inspired, and they'll feel like they've got this great shift, and they'll feel like they can take on the world. And part of that is because you have been holding a space for them, for their possibility, and for them to see their brilliance and amazingness. And then there's a little bit of like, okay, but what about me? And this is not a sad or bad or shadowy thing. It's simply the tendency that most people feel that empath leaders, have pretty much, they're very competent, and they get that sense from them. And what they may be feeling from the empath leader is the place of possibility that they are offering for others that feels very nurturing, feels extremely kind of like the sky's the limit. I can be anybody I want to be. It's a very inspiring place. The strength of the empath holding a place of possibility for others can end up giving us a feeling like we aren't seen for when we need to have support, because the two can be a little bit like, it can be assumed that we've got, we're in control and we've got it, and sometimes we don't, like all of us, right? So the last one is a challenge here for empath leaders, and I experience this often, and this is part of my work in the world personally and then also professionally for the people that I work with, is this me first mentality. It's very counterintuitive for many intuitives and empaths, especially if you are one who has any sort of service archetype in you, to be putting yourself first. And it's actually the thing that burns us out the most, I believe. So developing a certain level of really healthy, selfish self-care is essential, and to put ourselves first, not because we're pushing everybody aside, but that we are aware of what our needs are, especially as an empath leader, and we can take care of ourselves and ask to be taken care of also for what we need. So the me first mentality is really essential for empath leaders. So please know, if you identify with any of this as an empath and also as an empath leader, know that your gifts and abilities are really necessary in your work and in who you are and in your relationships. So the trick in this is to really let yourself be not only the empath, but also the leader that you are naturally wired to be. And both of those require that we increase our level of sensitivity and also increase our level of self-protection and self-awareness and self-management, energetic clearing. It's really important. And when you can bring all of that together, that's what the empowered empath is. And that's the work that I love to do. So come on over to thesoultranslator.com and you and I can stay connected You can also get a quiz there to find out what degree of empath you are, and also it gives you access to a fun 7 ways to boost and balance your energetic self-care little course that's going to be free for a little while longer before it turns into a paid course. All right, take good care, and I will see you next week. Bye.